Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
Screw it, we'll do it live. Welcome to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. I am the barely organized host of the show, Big Daddy Gonzo. Don't call me Richard, only my mom calls me Richie. Welcome to episode 61. 61 of these. And seated across from me for most of all 61, resplendent in tie-dye Steeler black and gold. You didn't wear the yellow glasses today. I thought maybe you were, this is like playoff day for you.
Yeah, I left them
It
home.
is Damaz. Aren't you just happier than a pig in crap?
I am feeling pretty darn good these fantasy days. Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Your Corona voodoo doll worked on Kevin Stefanski.
It did.
And
Well, that's the Steelers for today. Certainly, that's a big game later on. We'll get to that. That 8:15 start. I think it is 8:15, 8:30, whatever time it is tonight. But yeah, big playoff weekend here we got.
Oh yeah, well we have plenty of football to talk about. I don't know so much DFS. I mean, DFS has been pretty popular, irregardless. I mean, we do have 6 games going this weekend.
Yeah, it doesn't ever stop.
It never stops.
Basketball's in full swing right now.
Right.
You still got the other sports that they still tend to. All the
Right, well, my Miami Heat are 4-4, and once again, like every year, they take the first month to figure it out.
Yeah,
and it's just what it is.
Listen, we're playing sports still, so that's number one,
which is amazing in itself.
That's a joy. We actually got through what it seems like we're going to get through the football season, which certainly was a big question mark a few months ago. Yeah, we had lots of questions and fears, but it looks like that, and certainly the NFL, baseball got through it, basketball with the bubble and stuff like that. It looks like these sports leagues have got somewhat of an upper hand on facing the many challenges that these teams have had to face so far with COVID and other things as well. So no training camp in football. I think that's a topic we can get on if you want to, because there's been a ton of injuries this year. And
yeah, I don't agree with that. I really don't agree with that. I think that training camp can actually be put in a bubble. I think if there's any segment, if there's any portion of an NFL season that you want to bubble, that you can bubble, that the logistics lend itself to a bubble.
Yeah.
It's only 2 games.
100%.
You one home game, 1 away game, and
and they could be played at neutral sites even based on travel. I mean, it's not so much even for the fans as it is for the teams.
Right.
And I'm sure there'll be TV too. I mean, TVs will cover some of the games. So, yeah, it's a part of it. I mean, listen, there are parallels there that are drawn between, getting these players ready. For years now, because of the players' agreement, there's been less and less hitting in practices. There's been less and less contact.
It's backfired on the players.
I mean,
it really has.
It's easy to draw that conclusion. I'm sure the doctors and the teams and stuff are looking at it, but ultimately, what they're trying to do is protect the players. So,
well, let me tell you, okay, from an athlete's perspective, and were probably much more of an involved, organized athletics guy than I was. I mean, I played a little here and a little there. But and I also have some perspective in training and being a low-level professional wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Body conditioning, okay? The body needs to be conditioned to the sport, to the activity, okay? I've seen it a million times. Well, not a million times, maybe 100 times in pro wrestling. You have somebody who's been out of the game for a year. Hasn't taken a back bump, hasn't taken a fall, hasn't had anybody, chop them across the chest or anything like that. And they get invited to come on a show as a special guest. Maybe they were a former WWF superstar or something like that. But they've been out of the game, sitting at home, eating, Cool Ranch Doritos and drinking beer and gaining an extra 25 pounds. But they still, they look good and they still know their way around the ring. And we had a training center. So these guys inevitably would end up in our gym wanting to get in and roll around. I want to get there and knock off the rust. And I mean, we had one guy. We almost had to call an ambulance for him.
Wow.
I thought he was going to, and you know, when you're trained to do these things, like with football, you're trained for certain drills. Okay, so he gets into the drills, and everybody individually pulls each maneuver. Usually a line like 6, 7, 8, 10, students and wrestlers who want to, warm up and keep training. And then you get the old guy who's like,
hanging on for a little bit
like
too
52.
long.
No. This is somebody who gets invited to do a show.
Okay.
And it's going to be a payday. It's like, I can't pass up the $500.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go do this show in Bug Tussle, Arkansas, or whenever, and then sign autographs, and I'm going to work in the ring for a couple of minutes. And invariably, they get into it and they go through the first 2 or 3 drills, and then they're like, I need to get a drink of water. I'll be okay. And then they're out of the rest of the practice, the rest of the training.
Tapping
time. They're
out,
just like
literally.
They're telling stories from that point on.
Yeah.
I took my back bump, I did my front roll, I did my back roll, I hit the ropes a couple of times, and invariably they get hurt. They have that soreness.
Sure.
Oh my God, it's my first day in school.
Well, you said it. With all the sports, there's specific conditioning to each of the sports. You can look physically fit, even be physically fit. But if you're not conditioned for that particular sport, and football, clearly, with all the contact and movements and such like that, I mean, again, you can clearly see what a football player looks like.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily translate to not just performance on the field, but your ability and longevity and not getting hurt and durability and all these other things that come into play. And you accomplish that by performing this sport. Practicing the drills, other things like that, certainly.
Listen, the
contact.
Drills, you've been to a million practices, okay? And you look at these drills, and you see these guys, you get the skill position players, the wide receivers, the running backs, and they're running the drills. And what are they doing? They're running the cones back and forth, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
What does that do? That conditions your tendons and your ligaments,
Right.
Okay, your quick twitch muscles, it conditions them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get that, non-contact, controlled, I've stretched my fast twitch muscles and ligament areas, and everything is limber, everything is warm, everything is great. And then you get into those drills. If you don't run those drills every day for 4 or 5 days, you get to that first preseason game, and boom, sprained MCL.
Yeah.
Or worse, or ACL blows on you.
A lot of well, those are catastrophic. But a lot of these injuries are the soft tissue type injury. Yeah,
strains,
the hamstrings,
pulls.
the tendons, Achilles, all these other things that come up. Strained biceps and triceps. You hear it all the time.
What's the worst pull you ever had?
I did a hamstring years ago.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's awful. Black and blue down the back of the leg.
A partial tear.
I never went to the doctor. I just limped for probably a good month, I'd say, before I felt like it was getting back to normal again. Yeah, I was playing softball, and I slid is how I did it. It hurt really bad. Getting up was brutal. I couldn't even stand. It was awful. I really felt like something may have popped.
Yeah.
I don't think it did, because I wasn't, like I said, I was down. I was running again about a month later. So.
Yeah, you can recover. You get that bruised area, that blood comes to the surface because the fibers of the muscle tear a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the bruising, release. The blooding. Yeah, of course.
Me,
now this was in my early mid 20s. Right. If that happened now, I'd have to be airlifted to Jackson. I would not be able to get out of. You would have to probably get the National Guard out here, because I would not be in the same condition that I was 25 years ago.
Telling your wife, don't get remarried without me. Don't remarry. Promise me you won't remarry.
I went from, at that point, probably wanting to, and probably even trying to play within a week or so, to now not being able to feed myself.
Yeah, right.
That would be the difference for a month. I'd have to get a nurse to come in and bathe me. Sorry, maybe I just have Diana do that. That was a slip. But anyway, my point is that I would be severely incapacitated for many, many, many moons to pass before I could ever consider myself healthy again after a hamstring tear.
I mean, of all the injuries that I've ever occurred, like I said, you were probably a lot more of an involved, organized athlete than I was. I did a little football here, and of course I did pro wrestling, and I trained with the wrestling team in high school for a little bit too. But I have had a strained Achilles, and it was strained like right at the top of the Achilles, and there was like a little red line of blood where the muscle had torn a little bit. That had me limping around for a while, and that was That was a backyard running around playing catch injury.
Yeah, that's the
okay?
worst kind. Vacuuming is a danger right now for me. So, bending over with that long hose off the side when you're trying to get behind the. Yeah, that's to me, that should be a sport at this point in our lives.
Show up at work limping. It's like, what? I was doing the dishes.
Yeah, there are certain things that have graduated into tenuous activities now in my life. So,
but the worst muscle, soft tissue, I think, ever, besides maybe like a little tweak of my back, which was always bad. I had a pulled groin at the age of 19 roller skating. Wow, bad.
Yeah.
Pull one of those moves where you turn around to go backwards, and the leg went a little wide.
was this all skate when this happened,
Yeah,
or
oh,
was
yeah,
this?
oh,
This
yeah.
is
no.
not-
I was a good roller
Oh,
skater.
yeah, I believe you.
You can ask anybody who knows me. It's like,
I
oh yeah,
believe
he was
you.
a skating fool.
I've seen the videos.
It was like a runaway bear on skates. But
I don't think they had videos back
I had
then.
a good time. It was fun.
Yeah.
But I pulled my right groin. Horrible. The only thing that would be worse was the broken ribs I had. The broken ribs hurt when you blink. But the
Yeah, I've had
pulled
bruised
groin,
ribs.
anything that has to do with anything below your nipples, you feel it. It hurts.
Yeah, out of all the surgeries I've had, sports related, I had rotator, right shoulder, labrum.
Oh, well, yeah, you've had major injuries.
Yeah, labrum tear, left shoulder, 2 left knee surgeries. The toughest recovery for me was probably that labrum tear. The rotator tear was bad to recover when I was in my 20s, so again, it wasn't that big of a deal. The labrum, I was in my 30s, and that was a flap tear, they call it. Anterior, posterior tear. I was just hanging there, and they fixed that. That was fun. So, but like I said, now, in your 30s, and even in my early 40s, I was recovering well. But now, stub a toe, DL.
Deal.
15 days. Yes. So it's a wrap, man. So, yeah, things have changed quite a bit.
You're limping around the kitchen. What's the matter?
Yeah,
I'm dying.
I'm like, here,
it's
go.
over.
He's bring in the righty because this guy's toast.
Still start warming up.
Yeah, he's done. So
Well, enough of our creaks and pains.
Yeah.
But the NFL preseason is necessary because I know quite a few people out there that if they turn around and draft Saquon Barkley or McCaffrey or anybody like that, and that son of a bitch goes down after 2 games and is done, guess what? That's because you didn't have training camp. That's because you didn't have a preseason. Okay, because you could not condition those parts of the body to endure what needs to be done. I mean, yes, an ACL can go at any time. Somebody can roll up on you. You can just cut the wrong way, and your sneaker digs. Okay, and your ACL doesn't withstand the strain. But being better conditioned, running those drills, running those contact and non-contact drills, being better conditioned gives you a much better chance of completing the season.
I agree with that.
Period.
Yeah, 100%.
That and drugs.
100%.
Painkillers.
Yeah, well, that's the post-treatment.
Yeah.
Because once you've already had the injury, like yesterday, for instance, let's say Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Well, 10, 11 days ago, had 3 pins in his thumb. First of all, I mean, your thumb, okay, it's your finger, it's your thumb, I get it. But 3 pins and surgery and a dude's flinging a football?
Quarterback brought to you by lidocaine and Percocet.
Yeah, you got that right. But just not, we'll talk about that game, but man, that was heroic for that team right there.
And can I tell you, as somebody who has personally played backyard toss under the influence of Percocets, you are a superstar. When you are at 1 or 2 Percocets, you're feeling them things, and you can run on anything. I mean, I was taking them because I was having a problem with my back.
I was a Wii tennis champion 2019 on Percocet, so I
There
understand
you
how
go.
good your performances can be. Yeah, that's a shout out to Wii, Nintendo. Woohoo, go ahead. So,
But yeah, these guys are out there. They're going to the needle. They are. They're going to the needle.
yeah, they've been doing it
Okay.
forever in
Yeah,
sports.
forever. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't sit here and tell me, okay, like since I'm wearing the Dolphins stuff, a guy like Devontae Parker, who has an injury history, the wide receiver for the Dolphins, and he's a very good wide receiver. And he's proven over the last 2 years that he has achieved a little bit of toughness, okay, which either means he goes to the needle more often and he pops a couple of perks before the game and drinks a cup of coffee, old school style, North Dallas 40 style.
There you go.
But you can't tell me that homeboy was out for 3 weeks, and then come the last 2 weeks of the season when they need him, he went to the needle. He just did.
Just like flipping
You
a
know?
switch. If
It
you
just-
ask
it's-
any athlete at any point in their career, especially in a big game,
Yeah.
hey, listen, here's the deal. Either you play or you don't. He's going to opt to play, okay, regardless necessarily of any long-term, perhaps, issues that may result from years of this sort of treatment. But,
Yep.
again, I'll say this again. These guys, they are highly paid.
Sure.
And highly compensated in many ways.
Sure.
Obviously, they get the best medical treatment available through their careers.
Right.
And then I'm sure to a large degree, probably post-career as well, because if they've maintained their wealth and stuff like that, they can afford themselves through life to live comfortably.
Right.
Because they're going to need that. Clearly, this is part of the price that
And
they
get
pay.
superior health care.
And they do along the way, certainly. So, again, not to say that what they go through isn't difficult and, there's some sort of, I don't know if it's
it's
a pride, it's difficult. It's all these things. This is what athletes are. It's part of what an athlete has to go through. I think they accept that. So, yeah, certainly if you give these guys a choice, I'm going to put this needle in your thumb. We need you. Taking it? I'm taking it. You're
Sure.
taking it. We're all taking it. So,
Get it.
yeah, there's no judgment being passed there. It's just the reality of what sports is. So
Yeah,
to perform
yeah.
at that high level, sometimes you need the boost.
Dude, if I've got to work a Friday night,
Yeah.
we all know that weekend nights in our business
That's
are
the hypocrisy
money
in
nights.
steroids, too. That was the hypocrisy of steroids.
Yeah.
Because steroids basically afforded these athletes the same thing. It afforded them longevity. It afforded them opportunity to play when they maybe weren't able
Quicker
to play.
recovery times.
Certainly quicker recovery times. And again,
At least as per my brief experience with
Oh,
steroids.
we've all
you get
tasted
a little
it.
of that androstenedione.
Yeah.
That you don't get sore the next day.
We've all tasted that medicine. So again, it's
Medicine, yes, it's
total
medicinal purposes.
total hypocrisy to think that if given the opportunity that you're not going to take the edge.
It had nothing to do with the fact that after the first week of pro wrestling camp, of first week of pro wrestling school, I felt like I had been in 4 car accidents. Okay, so you definitely will go to the pill form of whatever it is that will help you get to the next thing.
And you're not thinking about it any
At all.
other
Not
step
a
of the
second
way.
thought. It's medical. It's science
In your body, get me on the field, and once you start
Yeah.
playing, you would do it 1,000 times over.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's just how it is.
Case in point, my second match ever, and I know I hate talking about my pro wrestling career. You got to actually support yourself to be a career. But my second match ever, out of school, I had a tweaked neck. My neck was tweaked. Okay, I had radiating pains over the top of my head. I couldn't turn my head more than this. Okay, I was hurting. And I was going up against a dude who was 6'7", 340 pounds. His name was The Punisher. I was going up against this guy, and we had a physical, hard-hitting match planned to go. I mean, we were going to kill each other. And I literally couldn't, I couldn't, I almost took a night off of work. I mean, I was hurting. And I went to these 800 milligram ibuprofens. Straighten me right out.
Yeah.
Straighten me right out.
And if you had to
Little
take
bit
2,
of
you would have
codeine.
taken 2 if you had to take
I took 2.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I took 2.
Then if you had to take 3, you would have taken
I
3.
couldn't feel my neck for 2 days.
Yeah,
But then I had to go to a chiropractor for a week to get it straightened out.
Well,
and you do what you got to do to get on the field or get in the ring.
That's
or,
my
you know.
issue, and that's what I'm talking about
Do
with
what you
these
gotta
guys.
do.
Is they know what is at stake, and they clearly know potentially, without blinders, what the long-term effects potentially are going to be. And these guys are doing this on a weekly basis, sometimes daily basis, in certain instances for years.
Right.
They're aware. I mean, it's part of the territory. It's part of the responsibility to not just your team, your organization, your fans. I mean, this is it's not just about playing 3 hours on the field on Sunday.
Right.
The amount of time, the amount of effort, the amount of resources, the amount of time, all this stuff that goes into getting you ready to play those 3 hours. That's what is the part that measures you. That's the part that is how you live your life. That is your reality every day. These
Right,
athletes don't just play 3 hours a week. They train every day of the year. It's a different time now for sports and athletes, and because they're being demanded of so much, and there's so much at stake. There's so much money involved. That's the driving force, is the money.
Right.
TV, money, got to put a good product on the field.
Well, don't care. You prick. You beat me to him because I was speculating one day on this show. I was like, the kid Jefferson from LSU, he just had himself a good game. And you were like, And when I looked for him on the waiver wire, he was gone.
Yeah, well, I drafted
You
him, actually. So
bastard.
he was a draft. Yeah, they're going to have
It's
to.
ours.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
You're not getting it back.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Jake is watching, so Jake is probably now texting Joe going, they're talking about you. They're talking about you. But
There's no better person to beat than Joe.
Joe.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we love Joe, and he's
and
competitive.
Joe knows his shit about fantasy football.
Joe
He does.
was a commissioner this year. Thank you, Joe, for doing that for us.
Good job by you.
Yeah, so it's fun beating the guys at work. Obviously, it's a work league, so you're playing the guys at work. But there are a few guys that are not at work that are in the league.
And they're even more fun to beat.
Oh, plus especially the guy that I have a running bet with year after year about total points. Can we mention that briefly?
Rhino brother.
Yes. Who? Thank you for sponsoring the draft, because the draft was actually at his place this year because of the COVID mess that we had. So
Yeah,
we couldn't do it at
listen,
work.
I'll try not to have heart surgery in August, and I'll show up for it this time.
Yeah, but 3 years running now, I have beaten him, and that feels really good. So
Wow. So I've managed to get in pro wrestling, my heart surgery, and my championship in fantasy football, because the show is all about me.
yeah,
So it was. It was a very good season for you, even though in the Screwy Louie Football League, in our 30th season, you did not get into the playoffs.
no, I lost the last 5 weeks.
Well, yeah, and then you gave up.
Yeah. Well, listen, with that ESPN league, and it even happened to me in the work league with the lineup adjustments in that league. I'm just so used to the CBS Sports, and there's another one that we use. I think RT was another one we used for a while. And again, now I have a boring Samsung non-iPhone related issues that I thought at that 1 week, I think it was like week 9 or 10, I edited my lineup, hit the changes, and for some reason it didn't accept it. Don't know why. And then I had like 3 guys not playing that week.
Well, you have to have
lost.
better than an S4 for crying out loud. That thing's like 10 years old.
Is it an S4? Is there an S somewhere in this phone? I don't even know.
See,
My cover is an OtterBox, if
Oh,
that
yes,
means
Otter.
anything. So
OtterBox is the rubber thing that goes around. I've got an OtterBox.
Yeah.
Anybody can get an OtterBox.
oh, okay. I thought that was the phone type.
No, but
So, no.
you got to get an S20.
Okay. S what?
S20.
S20.
That's what I got. I got
Okay.
an S20.
I don't
I
have
also
an
got
S20.
somebody texting me here. I'm wondering who the hell it is that's texting me. Of course, because everybody I know in my life, that I know in my life, they're watching me do the show. So I'm sure that it's somebody who's watching the
Show-related,
show.
yeah.
Nope. No notes, just somebody answering a waiver text from last night. But anyway, on with the show.
Yes.
The NFL playoffs. Playoffs?
No real
Something
surprises.
extraordinary happened yesterday, though. I mean, there were 3 very entertaining games.
Mm-hmm.
Very entertaining. I mean, the Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts came down to the last possession. It was a 3-point game. There was lots of intrigue, which we'll jump back to quickly. We'll analyze that game. The middle game, that ended up being intriguing because Taylor Heineke. I think we've seen the beginnings of at least a good backup quarterback, because young man acquitted himself very well, not only in the games that he has played in the regular season, but he acquitted himself very well yesterday.
Especially for a guy who comes from a family of mufflers. Their background. So,
That's Meineke with an M.
oh, is it Heineke? What's his name?
Heineke.
Oh, okay, sorry.
When he backed up Cam Newton at Carolina, he called him Heineken.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
A little beer
But
reference there.
Taylor Heineke acquitted himself very well again versus the GOAT. Okay, and I will say this: the Washington football team acquitted themselves very well against a Tampa Bay team that a lot of people had immediately penciled in as the Super Bowl favorite to win it all. Okay.
On offensive sides of both teams, clearly the talent was on Tampa Bay's side.
Oh, of course.
But Washington did show themselves yesterday.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
Washington's weakness was their offensive line. They've got like two good offensive linemen. And honestly, if they beef that up a little bit and they can run on anybody, because they've got good running backs.
Yeah.
They've got like 3 good running
Well,
backs.
Gibson was coming off the toe injury.
Right.
He was. You could tell.
McKissick is a multi-purpose guy.
Can catch the ball to the backfield.
And he's a big dude, too. He can
Yeah,
pound it.
yeah. They've got some weapons. They've got some talent there. McLaurin clearly, he was injured too.
Yeah.
But listen, they did
Went
it
to
right
the
on.
needle.
Their defense is really good. Man, they're really good. Now they gave up some points in that game. That was to be expected. They were in some tough spots, but that front seven, they're going to get better, and that's scary because those quarterbacks in the NFC East, Daniel Jones and Wentz and those guys, they're nervous because they're facing these guys twice a year, and they're coming because that front seven
Ron
is
Rivera's building a savage right now.
really, really good. So that's a team you're going to keep your eyes on because if they can get a running game going and with that defense and they can keep teams, honest and run some game script on some teams, they're going to be very good next year.
Yeah, their improvement base comes with something that's similar to these guys, okay, and that is you get quality guys down the middle of the defense.
Yeah.
And right now they're a safety and a middle linebacker away from being a Super Bowl defense. I mean, they're close.
And they got a defensive coach, and they got a guy that knows how to run that squad. And
they're 5 deep on the defensive line.
And
they're going to let go of Kerrigan, who is a really good defensive end. They're going to let go of Kerrigan because, A, he's old, even though he's going to still play for 2 or 3 more years.
Yeah, but they don't have to pay him. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, they're going to
free
let
up
him
some
go
money.
because they are four across monsters on that. That's a new Purple People Eaters. That's a new doomsday defense.
Really good.
Yeah,
really good.
I mean, monsters. So
so let's finish up on that game. Tampa came in obviously with the talent and with a gimpy Mike Evans. Clearly they were supposed to win the game, and they did. But Washington showed themselves. They were aggressive.
This guy.
The GOAT. There he is, number 12.
This guy.
What is that? That's not a league-approved tampon, is it? Oh, that's just a towel. I'm sorry. I thought that was something different. I couldn't tell by the photo. Yeah, see, mine's a little grainy, but
so he, and I'm realizing that I may have screwed up somewhere in the production of this, and I may have actually caused a blank spot in our production.
Is he thrusting himself forward in that
He's
picture?
Thrusting. Yes,
Tom, what are you doing in that photo right there?
But he managed to accomplish something yesterday. Another oldest quarterback deal. He had a couple of accomplishments.
Yeah, he won on the road, which is rare for Tom Brady. So, what else?
But another accomplishment was he was the oldest quarterback to throw a touchdown pass in a playoff game.
While wearing a tampon?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, he beat his 17th different team in the playoffs.
While wearing a tampon?
Right. Well, he had to go to a different conference and start beating different teams.
Right.
Because he beat 16 different teams in his own conference.
Right. Same
I think
tampon.
that's like every team in his own conference, right?
If you've played for as long as he has in a division as bad as he has for so long, and again, it's a timing thing.
Right.
Coaching quarterback carousels in that division.
Right.
They've been lucky and confident to be so, to win home games. I get all that stuff. I mean, the record stands for itself. He's got his road win. Okay, my opinion, it's the last win for them this year.
Going down.
Listen, it's talent, but it's philosophy. Okay,
Yeah.
they can line up with anybody and beat you. They run the ball well. They've got Brady, the GOAT. They've got so many weapons offensively. Even if a guy goes down, guys step up. Defensively,
Dude threw for 40 touchdown passes.
listen,
this
I
year.
get it, but I'll say this:
He almost threw his age in touchdown passes.
there is still, in my opinion, a disconnect between styling of people, head coach and quarterback. And I think in any sport, that's most important to have that relationship.
It has to be in lockstep.
It has to be your coach and your quarterback. And again, you can still have great pieces in those positions, but ultimately to get to where you need to be, which is a Super Bowl champion, everything has to kind of fall right for you. It's not just the talent. It's not just the record. It's not just the guys on the field. You got to have a little luck too, but you got to have a lot of intangibles that work in your favor. And that's one of them that is an issue, and you see it sometimes. You see it how it develops on the field. They had a lot of one possession victories this year where they clearly were the better team. I don't know. I'm just not. I mean, they're there. They deserve to be there. They won the game yesterday. The next test, I'm not sure who they have next. It depends clearly on how the rest of the games in the playoffs fall. But I don't know. I'm going with history. Coming into this week, Brady was, I think, 5-5 or 6-6 on the road in his career in the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Again, not a huge sample size compared to the 30 or so games he's got at home that we discussed why he was able to play so many at home. So, listen, it's tough to win on the road in the playoffs. It's tough to win
he had a lot of
games.
HFA, a lot of home field advantage.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. They played well. They're moving on. They punched their ticket to round 2, and we got 2 more games to talk about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dismissive much?
At
least we're not talking about Aaron Rodgers yet.
They beat a 6-10 team. As much as we've touted the
know.
Redskins, and as much as we like the defense, and as much as we, Rivera and all this other stuff,
it should have been the Miami Dolphins moving over to the NFC to play in their tournament. That's what that should have been.
I mean, again, Washington. I don't think their talent and who they are as a team. I don't think they're a 6-10 team. I mean, but. They're a 6-10 team, and Tampa went in there.
They had a horrible start to this.
Yeah, I mean, they struggled early, and they played well down the stretch, but Tampa was the better team yesterday. I'm not gauging any of this. Tampa has to go in and beat Green Bay in Green Bay. Is that going to happen?
That's going to be
no.
Well, Brady knows how to play in the cold.
I get it.
I don't know if Mike Evans or Chris Godwin knows how to play in the cold.
They're not going to Green Bay and beating Green Bay.
I understand that,
yeah.
But you still have a situation where the NFL playoffs need to be fixed a little bit. There's a seeding problem, if you will. But
this is the first year with the new seeding because of the bye and stuff like that.
And because of COVID
they'll look at this when it's all said and done.
But of all the reasons why the Washington football team ended up 6-10 at the end of the season, they have to put the blame on Dwayne Haskins because he was inept. The first 4 starts of the season, they come right out the gate 0-4, and he was the starting quarterback on it. The blame has to go to him.
Oh, for sure. Well, now it's come out that he's got issues above the shoulders. Clearly a physical specimen.
Alcohol issues
he's got some deals there. So, yeah, clearly you got to get the quarterback right, and if Washington settles that next year, they're a scary team.
Listen, the only guy that can get Dwayne Haskins right is actually gathering coaches and coordinators for the job in Jacksonville, and that's Urban Meyer, because that's the last guy that got his mind right.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, so that's the last guy that got his mind right.
Yeah.
And
we'll
will probably see that Dwayne Haskins and Steve Lawrence. Steve Lawrence is an entertainer. You'll see Trevor Lawrence and Dwayne Haskins as the 1-2 combination in Jacksonville.
I could see the story being written.
It's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be. I mean, listen. Haskins is a very talented quarterback. He's a big kid. I don't think that he's a bad kid. I think he may have issues. He may have substance abuse issues connected to as much money as he's got, maybe alcohol and strippers.
Entitlement.
Enabling.
All these terms that you don't want associated with your franchise quarterback.
Right. But when you're the king of Columbus for 3 years, you're the king of Columbus, Ohio for 3 years, you're on national TV, you're a superstar.
Everybody's telling you how awesome you are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your entire life, and you face a little bit of adversity, and you don't know what to do.
Gold-plated testicles.
And you don't know what to do. So,
but
those character issues, those come up, again, what happens, and this is, you know what, I don't even blame Haskins. I blame the people that coddled him along the way that knew these issues were there and that were okay with them because they got those particular people to a certain point, and they were happy at that point, whether it was a high school championship, because he was always probably the best player at every position, in every game across the field. Yeah, he was probably always the fastest, the strongest, had the biggest arm. And when you're constantly told this by everybody, that you're this and you're invincible and you're the best, and and not allowed to make the mistakes or to fall and to have to get back up again and work hard and all these other things.
Sure.
It's the whole Cam Newton thing. I've said it about him as well.
Well,
you can only go so far based on just physical talent alone.
Right.
I mean, all these guys are NFL players. All these guys are the 1% of the 1%.
Right. Oh, yeah. Elite.
So, I mean, you're only marginally faster, marginally stronger at best than anybody you're facing on the field.
Right.
It comes down to technique. It comes down to training. It comes down
Right.
to practice in your head and all these other things that matter. And clearly, with all his issues that he's had, again, not on Dwayne so much. And again, he's a man. He's responsible for his actions.
Right.
But he was carried and coddled by many people.
Many.
On many higher levels than
Many,
him
many.
that should have stepped in and said, you know what, Dwayne, let's put football over here, okay, and let's fix this. So that when you've got this fixed now,
Yeah.
you can be the best you can be over here.
Get some counseling, son.
But it's not to this point, unfortunately, it hasn't happened.
It's and the NFL unfortunately is littered with these players like Johnny Manziel, like DeMarcus Russell,
A lot, yeah. There's a lot.
like the kid Blackman from Jacksonville, the
Yeah.
wide receiver. The
Yeah.
kid was all world. I mean, all world. This kid was,
Yeah.
and he drank his way out of the league.
Yeah.
Drank his way.
There's
out
a
of
lot
the
of
league.
examples
It's-
across
it's a
the
ton of
landscape in
examples.
all the sports.
And you now, right now, Dwayne Haskins, you have the opportunity to back out of that spiral. You have an opportunity to not be Ryan Leaf. Okay, you have an opportunity to be the comeback kid.
I'll say it again.
Okay?
It's the coaches, it's administration,
It's the environment. It's the culture.
but it's the people that are in positions that are benefiting from these players that continue to benefit from them, knowing that they're in trouble,
Yeah.
knowing that they need help, knowing that it's only going to get more difficult
Patch 'em
for
up and
them
throw
at the
'em out
next
there.
level. That's the part that's not fair. That's the part where, and again, all eyes are on Haskins. They've been that way for years.
Yep.
So with all those sets of eyes, you can't tell me that one professional person that benefited from him couldn't step back and go, you know what? Wow, I'm doing okay from Dwayne Haskins, but you know what? Dwayne's not doing okay.
Right.
So let's fix Dwayne. Nobody said that. So there you go. You got a guy who's in his early 20s that's got millions in the bank, that is handed the keys to $1 billion franchise and said, here you go, buddy. It's yours.
Now,
and
there's-
he's like looking around going, oh, my God, what do I do?
Well, I mean, we could touch on Josh Gordon. He's had several people step up within the organizations
Yeah.
where he is and said, "Dude, go to rehab." Okay, dude, go to rehab.
Listen.
And he's done it several times.
Some people,
Okay.
and again, this isn't even really a knock on the addict, let's call it, for
Right.
lack of better terms.
No, it's the environment where they are. It's the entitled environment where they are. And
There has to
people
be
with-
onus on the people around
agendas.
them that care for them, that are in their support,
Sure.
and or that are benefiting from that person.
Right.
Because there are many people that benefit from professional athletes that watch them go into
dumb shit.
Yeah, and get into serious amounts of trouble, and yet they stand by and just take as much and as long as they can until it's over, and then
Yeah.
they move on.
Yeah.
And that's not fair, because there are professional people that are doing this. Like I said, administration, counselors, coaches, all on the way that have an opportunity to help these kids.
I'll give you a positive example. Okay, and we can go all the way back to Irving Fryer. Remember when Irving Fryer was young? I mean, he got into a coke-fueled knife fight with his wife.
I know.
Okay?
Well, the Miami
his
culture
wife
in the 80s.
stabbed him.
Yeah.
Okay, homeboy was out of control. He got help. Okay, modern day Kareem Hunt. Okay, Kareem had his boys and had his entourage and had all his friends around him. Okay, and sorry, let's face facts, Kareem. You were smoking weed and you were getting silly. Now you're a 21-year-old kid with 6 and 7 figures in the bank, and you have the world by the testicles, and we understand that. Okay, and even though you might be a decent kid, you might have been raised by a single mom that taught you to be respectful of women. But when you're out there all banged up and partying, and you got some drunk ass white girl acting a fool in your apartment, and you want her to get her to F out of your apartment, and eventually she antagonizes you in a drunken state, in an intoxicated state, and just so long that somebody can antagonize you, and then you face wash her with your foot. Okay, and they catch it on security camera or they catch it on Instagram. Okay, but to his credit, he fired everybody. He said, "Get out of my life.
Yeah.
Get out of my life. I have to straighten it out." Okay, and that's because, and you can thank Andy Reid. Andy Reid said no.
I'm sure there were some players on that team too that were like, "Hey,
They're
listen,
like, get rid of them.
Yeah.
We don't care. We just don't care. We and get help." But they did tell him to get help, and he went and got help. And shortly after he got help, Cleveland was there. The Cleveland Browns were there. John Dorsey, the general manager, he's like, "Did you get help? Yeah. Are you still getting help? Still going to meetings.
there you go."
Here's your contract.
I'm
son.
all about the recovery. Give
Exactly.
everybody a chance.
Get it right.
Heck yeah.
So, okay, now that we have done the 12-step program portion of the show,
I think we got to step 10.
We got all 12 steps.
We got them all in. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
we can go back to the games now.
wow,
The early game,
Buffalo
the early game, which we both watched together
on the shoulders of Josh Allen.
yeah,
and his
and
amazing season.
I told you that the Colts were going to be the toughest defense that they were going to face in the playoffs. Okay, forget the Ravens. They're like, oh, the Ravens have a great defense. The Ravens have a scheme defense with a bunch of fading, aging superstars.
I agree with that.
Okay, Marcus Peters. I think I could get open against Marcus Peters. if I
That game
really
yesterday
wanted
we
to.
watched,
Okay,
that
so-
was a physical football game.
Sure.
Yeah, because both sides can hit for sure.
Sure.
I'll tell you this about the poor Colts. And you know what? Again,
The Phillip
revisionist.
Rivers curse.
I'm not even sure what the curse is.
Phil, we love you, Phil. We really do.
They're the only team in playoff history to put up over 450 yards, not turn the ball over, and not win the game. That happened 11 other times. And in all 11 instances, those other teams won by an average of over 22 points a game. So it's really, really difficult to point the finger and say, okay, we lost because of this. I'll say this. I think the reason why they lost primarily is because I think Buffalo's just a better team. They have the better quarterback. And I think if you look across the league, if you look at the teams remaining in this, and you just put a quarterback tree up and you face the quarterbacks, I
Right.
think when it's all said and done, you're going to be able to pretty much, outside of maybe yesterday with Russell Wilson losing, you would have said, okay, that makes sense. You know, that team's
Yeah.
a better football team. They should win. Just under the circumstances, listen, Josh Allen is the real deal.
Yeah, he is the real deal, and we sat there and paid a lot of homage and respect to him while we were watching him. You know, you were saying that he's bigger, stronger, and faster than Patrick Mahomes.
If we're drawing comparisons,
right, if
yeah.
we're drawing comparisons.
Yeah.
Your buddy, what's his name? God, I keep forgetting. Andrew.
Hey, buddy.
Good guy. We're going to see you in Vegas in April, and Andrew brought it up that that he can make a lot of the same throws that Patrick Mahomes can make, but he is also much bigger, stronger, and faster, and he owes his 10% jump in accuracy and his completion rate, not only to the addition of Stephon Diggs or the maturation of his other receivers being John Brown and with the kid Gabriel. Not only their maturation, which, by the way, that Gabriel kid, he's big.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was that big.
Where
He
are all
was
these
large.
receivers 6'3", 6'4", 220 coming from?
Right. Well, it must have been the blue, because you don't really notice somebody wearing
Yeah.
blue
Now-
being 6'3", 220, but he's a
You,
big boy.
you threw out a percentage and said 10% improvement.
Right.
Overall, it's 10%.
But he attributed that to quarterback coach Ken Dorsey.
But let's get inside the numbers just slightly. It's not a 10% increase. It's more like a 30% increase, because seriously, he's gone from about 57% completion
Right.
to almost 70% completion.
Right.
Now, that's not, you don't just add the two
But
numbers
that's
to go.
coaching. That's Ken Dorsey.
But you don't go
the quarterback coach, helped
13%.
him out.
What I'm saying is that when you do the numbers like that, because I'm a numbers guy,
Yeah.
is it's not a 13% increase. It's more like a 35% increase, because you look at the completion percentage overall.
Right.
So that's an enormous number.
Listen, the completion percentage, I understand
Went
what
up
you're saying.
dramatically.
That the ratio
Yes.
of the completion percentage over
Yeah.
the body of work
Well,
of the 16 games.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, on any individual basis, game by game, that you have a 13% rise in efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's significant.
Huge.
But if you have a consistent 13% rise in efficiency over the span of a larger number of games or a larger number of instances, a larger body of work, yes, I understand what you mean, that it is more of like a 35% increase in efficiency.
Well, because what they're doing is you establish your completion percentage by the number of passes against the number of completed. 55%. Throw a number out
and
there.
you look at that number.
If
of
next
completions.
year you're at 70% completion, that's not a 15% increase. It's like a 36 or 37% increase because
it's 100 more completions.
and again, it's based on the number. You don't just say 75% minus the 55% and you have a 20% increase. You don't. Because
You're going to hurt people with this math.
It's the percentage of increase. Listen, numbers are very important to me, and I have to explain myself.
I understand that, but not all of the 37 people that are now watching this are number nerds.
I am next generation.
Andrew is sitting there watching, going.
And he's like, he's right. Yeah, he's right. He's got it right. So
but
he's been amazing. They've been amazing.
Okay, maybe Lou Lang is he's nodding, going, yep, sure. I mean, Lou's in the chat room, by the way.
How you doing, Lou?
I'm paying attention, Lou. I really am. It's just we're talking about numbers right now. Lou also brought up that has Tampa Bay played Green Bay this year? They did, and Tampa Bay blew them out in Tampa Bay.
Yes, they did.
Kicked their ass.
That was right after. Wasn't that the dance game? Wasn't that Aaron Rodgers' dance? He had that one touchdown dance, and that was the last touchdown that he had after that.
They smoked him.
And then Green Bay hasn't lost since. Is that what the game we're talking about? Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that digression aside, the numbers are ridiculous.
Yes, they should have lost that game, but did not because he seemed to make every throw and every right decision. Now, is that going to continue? They lost a
sorry. Lou is a math major. He knows what's going on. He probably knows more than we do.
Yeah,
he's smarter than he's a math major.
We play it up so well, you and I. We don't know anything. This is just all fluff.
Dude, I got a D in algebra 2.
I didn't even take algebra. Although I can multiply like it's nobody's business.
Yes.
But just one number by one number.
Percentages and ratios, that's what we know.
A 3-point victory. They gave up a ton of yards. Ton of yards.
This is adult warning, adult content.
$5 in the coffee cup. And they won. Buffalo won. The better team won. But close, and it's scary going forward because I'll say this. Yes, the Colts perhaps were the best defense that they faced.
Yes.
So are you going to say the Bills are going to put up 27 on everybody or more? They may have to. Because they gave up.
They've been hanging mid-30s on everybody. They put 56 on the Dolphins.
But what happens, though, is that can disguise your weakness. And clearly, if their defense is giving up 450 yards and they're giving up a lot of yards on the ground and they can't get off the field on third down, he's only going to be able to make so many plays. Okay? Right. And that, again, each team has a chink in the armor.
But that metric that you just said right now, okay, get them off the field on third down. That's what they're hoping for right now. Okay, they're hoping to limit the other team's third down efficiency, and that's essentially time of possession and limiting the other team's third down efficiency. Okay, those were the two major factors because I don't think either team didn't turn the ball over. There was like no turnovers yesterday.
I don't think there was
zero turnovers.
But I'll say this: how Buffalo can do that is they're going to have to run the ball and not just not Josh Allen. There were times that they were up in that game by 10 in the third quarter we were watching.
Yeah.
And it was first down and they were running quarterback sneaks.
Right.
What are you doing? All right. Well, what are you doing? And he took a beating yesterday.
Right. Well,
he got hit hard.
What they were doing is they were calling plays against tendencies. Okay. I've seen.
You could have put Singletary in there gotten the same 4 yards.
Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, okay? He's one of those guys that likes to surprise you. He's one of those guys that likes to do something sneaky. He's one of those, but he's also one of those guys that likes to pound you to death with their strongest asset. Okay, he does. He likes to pound you to death with their strongest asset.
I get it, but you have to take
he's
scenarios.
Also one of those douchebags that likes to run up the score, and don't forget, McDermott, we are never going to forget that, ever. No, never forget, never forgive. But anyway.
But you have to take scenarios into account.
Right.
And they're winning the game. Your franchise quarterback, who clearly is the MVP of your team, you need him upright. You need him healthy.
He's pretty redundant.
Granted, he's big, he's strong, he's all these things, but the other guys are also big and strong, and they run fast too. And one bad hit, one bad slide, whatever the case, I'm not saying take it away from his game because that's what makes him so good is he can do that.
Right.
But on 1st and 10, up 10 in the third quarter, you don't run a quarterback sneak off tackle and get 4 yards and your quarterback get pounded. You don't do that in that spot. That's all I'm saying. So
you're going to learn.
That right there for me, again, the Bills, I predicted the Bills and the Rams several weeks ago. You asked me who's going to the Super Bowl. I said Bills and Rams. I'm sticking with that. But I will say this. For the Bills, they need to run the football. Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, run the football in spots with Josh, maybe some more read option, give him a chance to throw the ball out of those runs, not just to run out of the pass. They need to keep him healthy, keep him upright. They got 3 more games to go, and they're moving on. So listen, credit.
The jet sweep with Gabriel was pretty deadly.
Yeah, again, mix it up. You have a lot of options, a lot of speed on that team. So use it. Just don't rely on Josh Allen and his 10, 12 carries, design runs from the pockets.
Right.
I'm not buying it.
That's kind of like what the it's what the Ravens are depending on. But then again, conversely, we look at a team that didn't qualify for the playoffs that depended on that, and that would be the New England Patriots. So you really, even though it's a strength, okay, you really, in this situation with the Buffalo Bills, you have to see it as a luxury. You have to see it as something that you pick and choose your time, because if you lose that kid,
well, the thing is,
Barkley's not going to
no, they're done. They're finished.
Okay.
Think about this though. It's a difficult mentality for a guy that's that big, that his whole life has been running over people. Even in practice, maybe he wasn't a quarterback to start. Maybe he was a defensive lineman when he was in wherever, growing up in Pop Warner.
Right.
The mentality, I'm saying, when you're big and strong, what do? You impose your will. And even as a quarterback, that's what he's doing. Guys like Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, they're just as effective running the football. They just don't get hit.
They're just fast.
He got destroyed in spots yesterday and got up, shook it off, and went, I'm 22 and I'm 6'5" and 230.
Yeah.
But when you take a shot like that to the knee or to the ankle, or you land on your shoulder, that's a problem. I don't care how big and strong you are. You're in trouble, and that team's in trouble.
He caught one of the hits of the year, one of the tackles of the year, I would have to say.
Oh, yeah. Dude got stood up.
Middle of the field.
Now, luckily, that dude.
Mano a mano, Darius Leonard stuck a shoulder in his gut,
luckily,
folded his big ass in half, and took him down.
Well, luckily, Leonard is only like 6 feet 210.
Right.
He wasn't getting hit by.
He still stuck him.
And he stuck him.
Oh, Darius Leonard's a little bigger than that. He's like 6'1", 220.
All right, but still, when up against Josh Allen, who's 6'5", 240.
Rampaging Frankenstein.
That was a
monster.
collision. That was a collision between two men.
Yes. Let's put it this way, okay? Allen is what Ralph the replacements, the rampaging animal. He played football like a goddamn rampaging animal. Yeah, that's what Allen plays like, and I hate the Buffalo Bills. I hate them.
Abandonment.
But you can't deny their quality. I've been saying for months now that if they get to the Super Bowl, they're still going to lose because it's what they do. But they have a really good shot to get to the Super Bowl. They really do have a good shot to get to the Super Bowl.
I picked them.
And yesterday was the toughest defense that they were going to face in the AFC.
Yeah.
Even if they play Baltimore, still the toughest defense they're going to face in the AFC. Period. So
Bills advance, Bucks advance.
Sorry, Phil.
Rams advance. Day one in the book.
Phillip Rivers, we love you. I love 17s. 17s are always great guys. Yes, and that includes Allen. But Phil, hang it up, pal. We love you. Go out on top. Go out with a playoff run. Go out with a statistically good season. But don't hang on. Don't. Get out of the way. Collect your $24 million. Wow. Go back and raise your
17 kids.
17 kids. Yeah. 3 of which are old enough to drive and vote. Because you've been playing in the NFL for 18 years.
One of them's an assistant coach at Cal Irvine.
It's like Frank Gore and Frank Gore Jr. Frank is like this close to playing on the same field with his son. How would you like to have a backfield with Frank Gore and Frank Gore Jr.?
That's insane. That's never happened. Clearly
I'm sure
in
it's never happened.
Not in father-son combination.
Well,
baseball a few times.
They're trying to do it with LeBron James and Bronny. Bronny's trying to get up to the pros. And don't think that if LeBron is in L.A., he can get his kid drafted in the second round. Okay, whatever.
Probably.
Or brought in as a free agent and sit on the end of the bench.
Well, think about even if the kid never plays, the money and all this stuff, all the attention and stuff that come in.
But don't drift into basketball. Don't drift.
Wait, we got 4 more football games.
We got one more football game. that Rams-Seahawks game was very, very good.
That said a lot about that Rams team. I got to be honest. Now, here's the thing about McVay again. Is still undefeated when has the lead at halftime. So guess what?
Smart kid.
You're not winning at halftime. You're not winning. Okay, that's how that works.
He's young Shula, man. I'm telling you right now. He's young
So
Shula.
they went in with a plan. They quickly abandoned that plan because muffler guy got hurt.
Got to improvise.
Yeah, and here comes Jared Goff with his 3 pins and his little his
That
little.
wasn't muffler guy. That was Wolford. That was the offensive lineman's son.
No, it's his son-in-law. I thought it was. That's why he's married through. I think he's like related through proxy, from what I read. But anyway, forget all that.
Anyway,
Pretty impressive. I mean, for a team that again came in with Plan A, quickly had to go to Plan B. Didn't know what Plan B was going to be because, again, Goff had surgery 10 days ago, had pins, 3 of them put in his thumb, and he had
warm up, Percocet.
If you looked, he had that little Snoopy Band-Aid on his thumb. That was all he had that was keeping it together, that little Band-Aid. And yet he came in there, and he wasn't great, okay, but he was good enough, and the defense stepped up, and they smacked Seattle up and down the field.
Comes out of the blue tent. Dun, dun, dun. It's like...
With his thumb, with a Band-Aid. Yeah.
He was high-fiving everybody with his left hand, by the way.
I swear to you this, he got knocked down on the second play of that drive.
He started to go like this.
Yes, I swear to God, I watched it. And the defender went to pick him up, and he was like, no. He did one of these. He switched up. So, smart move. He had a lot of game to go yet.
Yeah, listen, it was a ballsy and gutsy performance.
Yes.
Brought to you by Percocet and Lidocaine.
Again, and a few other things.
Yeah. But let me tell you something. A lot of people have been bagging on Goff this year because he's not worth the money and everything. But one of the strengths that showed for him was one of the reasons why he makes $27 million.
Moxie? Are we going with that?
Yeah, leadership.
Yeah.
Game management.
Yeah.
Clutch plays. Because, I mean, the guy was only, 11 of 27?
No, he was a little better than that. He didn't have that many opportunities. I'll pull up his numbers.
But a lot of his completions were for first downs.
He made big throws in that game.
Big throws, huge.
Cooper Kupp had a big catch. Woods had the touchdown.
He may have missed on, 25-yard patterns down the middle of the field on first and second down. But when it was 3rd and 11, he hit for 12 yards.
He was 9 of 19 for $155 and a TD.
Right.
Not terrible.
No.
But, I mean, again, given the circumstances, completely understandable.
But 5 of those 9 completions were for first downs.
Oh, big.
That extended drives.
Big throws. The biggest thing that I took away from that game was how much pressure they were able to get on Russell Wilson. That offensive line for Seattle is just not very good. And that's been the Achilles for years now. I mean, they've really, in my opinion, have made his job very difficult at times.
Let's put it this way, okay? Aaron Donald hit Russell Wilson so many times he hurt himself.
Yeah.
Okay, another guy who had to go to the locker room and catch a needle in the ribs to come back out.
Most of the second half, he was out
because he spent so much time
on top of Russell Wilson,
running Wilson down, and then gator rolling him, and eventually he came down awkward on his side and hurt himself. You could see him getting up, going, and I'm like, I didn't know that Aaron Donald knew how to get hurt. But he wore himself out chasing the boy down.
Yeah, so, the Rams look good, and Cam Akers.
Brockers and Floyd.
Well, Akers ran the ball, and if that team can get a little bit of balance on offense and take some of that pressure like we talked about off the quarterback,
your prediction will come true.
You got balance on that team. It's a scary team.
Really, you really want to see the Rams and the Bills in the Super Bowl?
Sure, I picked it, so why not? Hell,
everybody wants to see Kansas City versus Tampa Bay. I know they do.
That ain't gonna happen.
I understand, but everybody wants to see that.
That's fine. There's a chance that neither of those teams make it.
That's the fancy Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Everybody has that in their mind every year, it seems, about the two teams you would think should be there.
Sure.
And then it ends up not coming true.
I mean, I'll take Green Bay versus Buffalo. That would be pretty cool, but you hate Aaron Rodgers.
I'd like to say something about Aaron Rodgers, if I may. I'm glad you brought this up.
They're off today, by the way. You don't have to bag.
I know, but I'm glad you brought this up. I owe him, I think, a little bit of an apology.
Oh,
a little bit, because I've been harsh. Okay, going back to the draft when they took Love, and they're like, "What are they going to do?" And I'm talking about all this noise in the locker room and the new coach I think the new coach has only lost 6 games so far since he's been with that team
since he started.
Okay, Aaron Rodgers
he sucks, doesn't he?
Aaron Rodgers clearly is the MVP to this point, in my opinion, in the league as well.
He's terrible.
So I may have been slightly wrong on Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't like him. I can stay that way. I don't have
I
to.
like him. He's ugly.
I can appreciate his talents from afar, like
He's
I do
stupid.
with Brady. But understand this, that he's still a puss, in my opinion.
I hate his insurance commercials.
I don't like him or the other guy. Was it Jared or what's his name? Jerry, Frankie? What's the dude in the red shirt now that drops the pizza? What, same commercial? Or are we on different commercials now?
It's Jake from State Farm.
Him too. So I just the whole concept I don't like. And another thing about Peyton Manning, since we're talking about quarterbacks and bad
hate
commercials,
that guy too.
don't stay out of that. Stay out of the whole country music genre, you big goof. All right, you don't belong there. Just because you went to Tennessee doesn't mean that you know country music. All right, let me just throw that out there too. Brad Paisley, pick a new quarterback.
Pick a new quarterback to pick on.
Yeah.
Welcome
to Peyton's world.
Well,
Get
first of all, the best commercial right now is Aaron Rodgers with the hole-in-one playing golf. And he's like, "Oh, so you say there's not an special Aaron Rodgers rate? You really?
Yeah.
Okay." And then he takes the Happy Gilmore swing.
I got
and
it.
He goes, and then he turns around and looks back and goes, has it come down yet?
Yeah, 3 bounces in the hole.
3 bounces in the hole.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, yes, yes, yes. It cracked me up. I'm sorry.
I want to see
I'm
Aaron
easily
Rodgers get in a
abused.
fight. I want to see him get in a fight.
He's been in a few tussles with linebackers and stuff, shove people around.
I think he's soft.
All right, enough. We can bag on Aaron Rodgers. We got a slate of 3 games today.
Yes, we got a big one.
Three
Yeah.
big, huge wild card Sunday games.
All right, we'll go in order. Baltimore, Tennessee.
Go Ryan Tannehill.
Baltimore
Derrick Henry,
is
the
playing their best football of the year, in my opinion. And I'm going to say that from a confidence perspective because they look like they have found themselves again. Jackson's running the football.
Were they lost before? Or?
They've struggled. There was a point in the season where they were looking in. So they weren't going to make the playoffs. And they had a few breaks.
Yep.
And they won some games.
Yep.
And they've shored up some things at least. I mean, listen, everybody knows who Baltimore is. Everybody knows what they do well.
Right.
It's just for a stretch of the season they weren't doing those things well. Well, they're doing them well again. Jackson looks pretty good. He's throwing the ball around the field. He's getting Mark Andrews involved and Hollywood Brown, and they're running the football with J.K. Dobbins now, who's been a really good second half player. Tennessee is Tennessee. They're gonna smack you. They're gonna bring Derrick Henry. They're gonna run the play action. They're gonna try and get A.J. Brown down the field. Corey Davis in spots, use the tight ends, whatever. But Ryan Tannehill, he right now
The boss.
is the 4th best rated quarterback in football by Pro Football Focus. Okay, he's 4th.
And he is probably the most efficient.
Do you know who's 5th?
Who?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, screw that guy.
I'm just saying, when you put that in perspective,
Where's my Ryan Tannehill State Farm commercial?
people are trying to say Tennessee is Derrick Henry. People are trying to say, oh, Ryan Tannehill's not that good. Oh, people are trying to say, well, he's good just because of the play fake and the play action. And how bad was he in Miami? Well, that was a Gase thing and others.
Boy, is that a Gase thing.
Let me tell you something about Ryan Tannehill. That kid can play, and they're playing well, and Tennessee is no joke, and you got to think that they are fired up for this football game. The downside for Tennessee, like we talked about with Buffalo, is Tennessee's defense is worse than Buffalo's
Swiss
defense.
cheese.
Man, they can't stop anybody. So what's the ceiling in this game today for points?
Okay.
I mean, assuming that neither team turns the ball over 3 times, weather's not a factor, whether it hasn't been a factor for any of these games.
You have to know the game plan. Both teams have a similar game plan, okay? And that is run the ball 40 times. Whether it's all Derrick Henry running 40 times, which I wouldn't put it past him, okay? But run the ball 40 times. Be efficient on 3rd down if you got to throw. Be efficient as hell, which they have. That's been their earmark. And because God, they just lack so much talent on the defensive line. If Tennessee is going to slow down the Baltimore running game, they need to put 11 guys in the box.
Maybe, yeah.
They need to send 8 every time.
Little run blitz.
Okay, and they need to make Jackson beat them with his arm. They need to run blitz him to death. They need to send 6 and 7 guys every time. And then the 3 or 4 guys that don't go are standing on the line of scrimmage. waiting for Jackson to slip a tackle and run up the field. You want to limit him as much as possible.
Yeah.
You want to make him beat you with his arm, okay? And if you have, limited talented on defense, that's the scheme. And you just stick everybody in his face and stuff their run.
I think you're going to see
sell out for the run.
I think you're going to see a lot of Mark Andrews today.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean,
sure,
no question.
Why
A lot
not?
of 8-9 targets plus. Because again, if they do
For your
force
DFSers
them,
out there.
if they do force him to have to throw the ball, that's where he's going today. So, quick prediction. What do you think? For me, under normal circumstances with the home field, it being Tennessee playing at home, I would be more opted to take them to win the game. But without fans,
1917 Titans.
31-30
Wow.
Ravens.
Taking the over, huh?
31-30 Ravens.
Wow.
Yeah, and a very, very good football game. Very high scoring. A lot. This is going to be a great first game. This is going to lead us into, I think, what's going to be a very
Which
good
starts in about an hour.
Yeah. So
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, now the second game, which would be the NFC game.
yeah, Steelers play tonight 8:15.
Right. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And your passion and plea.
Yeah.
But what is that?
I'm good this week for the Steelers. I think we're
Right. But
gonna be okay.
what's the 4:00 game? I'm blanking.
You're brain
right now.
farting, and you're putting me on the spot because I was just
Because you were blanking on it too.
no, because I'm reading this article right here.
He blanked
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, because we're probably going to dip. We were going to talk about the NBA and Major League Baseball. We already told you about pitchers and catchers.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You gotta have something from the Wings. What's the 4:00 game?
I'm not sure.
See,
How
even
do we?
the guru's guru
How do
doesn't
three
know.
guys not know what the hell the 4 o'clock
Even the
game is?
guru's
The
guru.
8 o'clock game is definitely
We know that.
the Saints and Bears.
No, it isn't. Saints and Bears are the 4:00 game.
Yeah, Steelers play tonight.
Steelers and Browns are the 8:00. So there you go. He came up with the Saints and
Hey,
the Bears.
Saints and Bears are 4 o'clock. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there.
Well, let's talk Saints and Bears.
Okay, Saints and Bears. Saints are going to kill them.
You know what? I'm not going to say they're going to kill them, and I'll tell you why.
Two good defenses.
And one team that can run the ball finally, which is
Times in a row.
Yeah.
so
there, beat them 6 times in a row.
the Bears can run the ball a little bit. They found something in Montgomery finally. He's had a few good couple of weeks,
And to
and
see disappointment.
I know, but the last few weeks he's been solid.
Kamara and
Murray back.
Thomas back there.
Murray,
Yeah.
Kamara, Murray, Thomas. They're getting all
They're
the weapons.
they're
back.
at full strength. Yeah. So,
New
yeah.
Orleans is going to kill
I
them.
don't know if they're going to kill him, but I think New Orleans wins. I think there's a little bit of Trubisky.
That's a 31-27 game.
The Saints have a pretty good defense, like you said. You started off by saying that both teams have good defenses, and they do. Saints have a little better defense, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think that even though the Saints don't take chances down the field, and everybody talks about that, they're 13-3 2 years ago, 13-3 last year,
Yeah.
best record this year. Whatever it is they're doing it well. They know what they're doing. They know who they are.
Yep.
That's a big plus. Saints probably win this game today.
Okay. I will agree.
Yeah.
And now moving on to the prime time affair. These guys,
When do you want me to start this?
well, we got these guys against this guy and his friends who can't seem to catch the football.
Yeah, or run the football, or tackle, or any of those other things that are important in football. But besides all that, I said
you
it.
are the biggest mope Pittsburgh Steeler fan
When we
that I
were-
have ever seen in my life. You hate everything about the team,
Not everything,
but you still have the shirt.
just the coaching and the quarterback. The two most important parts. And I don't hate. Hate's a strong word. When we were 10-0, I was asked, "Oh wow,
Abject disappointment.
Steelers are 10-0. Wow, they're Super Bowl. They're so good." And I was like, "Whoa, pump the brakes, dog. Let's explain what the Steelers are.
You were the mope.
Let's explain where they are. Okay, let's explain a team that forgot how to run the football, haven't run the football, haven't, same thing. Have had some injuries on the defensive side. Not to have that as an excuse, but as a fact. And therefore now
Just a reason.
we've forgotten how to stop the run. And we have receivers, as you mentioned, that drop the football, and a myriad of other issues that have come up. And we've looked pretty pedestrian the last several weeks. Okay.
Pedestrian.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Thank you. we got the Brown Stains coming in tonight. Fortunately for us, we have some things in our favor. One, history. We own the Browns. Okay. Two, half their team has COVID again, including their coach.
Yeah, your
so
COVID voodoo doll work.
yeah, so that's two. That's a big one. And three, we're home. It's Steelers playoff football. The Browns are coming into Pittsburgh. If in any fashion, somehow, ways, means the Browns come in tonight and win this football game, it's over. I'm turning my man cave Steeler room into a sauna room. And I'm going to start with all of the paraphernalia and stuff that I have over the years. That's going to be where the fire is going to originate.
You have a fire pit out back.
Yeah, but I'm bringing this inside. So
Oh, you're going to set the house
it's coming inside. I'll vent it. I'll put a hole in the roof. Yeah. Yeah, listen, it's the Browns. It's Baker Mayfield. We've talked about some of their shortcomings. This is how the Browns win today. They win by running the ball 40 times, like you said about how Baltimore
They got the horses for it.
Yes. And that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and control clock. There's no surprise as to what they're going to do.
Antonio is out. But.
Yeah, it's going to hurt them. But they're going to run the ball, play action Baker, move him out of the pocket, keep him off the pressure. He's not good facing pressure. He's had some games where he has been good, but historically, you pressure Baker, you make him make bad decisions.
He's growing into it.
Listen, I'm not going to. He's played better this year,
right?
And I think again, a large part of that though could be with the new coaching regime and with their philosophy on offense. They know who they are. They run the ball.
Sure.
They don't make mistakes on offense. They pressure you on defense. They get positive game scripts and they win games. Okay?
Sure.
And they've done it all year round. But again, the Steelers, they're a better football team. Ben's a better quarterback. Again, quarterback tree. Put the quarterbacks up against each other. And even though Ben has struggled, I got to think he's got something left in the tank for a home playoff game. Okay, and from
Are
that,
there going to be fans there?
I
don't think they are.
Family and friends and a few other
I don't
bullshit
think they
stuff.
are.
It's
They're
not
not
going to
gonna
make
have
a
the
difference.
horde.
No, it's not going to make a difference.
They're not going to have the towel-waving lunatics.
No, these are the same two teams that played 2 weeks ago, minus a coach and a lineman, and we got one guy coming back.
No, it was just
on the line.
last week.
Yeah, it was last week. Yeah, it was last week. So whatever.
It was just last week.
This is a game that Steelers should win. I haven't seen the line recently. Is it at 5? I think it was, or
Something like that.
4.5.
4.5, 5.
Again, that seems about right. I mean, we're slightly better than they are, and given if we played them 10 times, you would think we'd win 8 of them. So tonight, again, barring Ben throwing 3 interceptions, the receivers not being able to hold the football, and us rushing for 20 yards, which, oh, by the way, I can see all those happening. Yeah, maybe we lose the game. But
Well, I agree with you there.
yeah, I mean, so
I agree with you there because I think that this is the bite you in the ass game. I think that this would be the upset special of the week because there's so much potential for the upset special, and especially being an extraordinary upset special because Kevin Stefanski is not there. And let's face facts: of the 11 games that Cleveland's won, he has been strategically and game management wise, he has been a major reason why they have won so consistently this year.
well, he built their identity this year,
Right.
and they bought in,
And the culture.
and they're
Culture,
doing
culture,
it
culture,
well,
culture,
and
culture.
now they're in a position where they haven't been in 30 years.
Culture.
So good for the Browns, but again, to me, this is a Steeler win. It should be a Steeler win. This could potentially be Ben's last game, so that's on his mind, I'm sure. And from that perspective, you know you're going to get his best effort. I'll
Right.
take his best effort.
Well, it's the only. I'm telling you right now, of these 3 games, it's the only game that can. I mean, we're looking at Tennessee and Baltimore as being just about even. Okay.
Yeah.
Just about even. Anybody can win that game. It's
Yeah.
anybody's ball game.
Yeah.
Okay. We're looking at a lot of favorability. A lot of things are tilted towards New Orleans beating Chicago.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Well, if you look at the 3 teams you just mentioned, those teams have the identity of who
Right.
they are.
Yep.
Okay. That's what the Steelers don't have.
Right.
Because the Steelers have completely changed the offense this year.
Right.
And they've completely gotten away from the run and the inefficiencies of the
Lot of
offensive
chaos.
line.
Lot of
And
chaos.
Ben has become the guy with the quickest release in the NFL.
Right.
Okay. And I've said this many times, and we'll say it again many times. When you go from the worst to the first, and vice versa, or have to make such dramatic changes at any one particular thing, it's rare that it works. It's rare, and if it does work, you have rough spots, and you have challenges, and you have failures. And given the circumstances of where we are now in the playoffs and having an aging quarterback who's hobbled, clearly, he's not physically well, and no running game to speak of, you're putting a lot of pressure on your quarterback in that spot. And you've seen this year him when he plays well, the Steelers win. When the receivers make catches, they win. But it hasn't happened consistently. And at this point in the season, if you don't know who you are, week 17 or 18 in the NFL, guess what? It's not going to bode well overall. So you can only get by on whatever talent you have for so long. And when we're talented than them, we should win. Moving forward.
Well, the saving grace, you've heard it here right now, will be turnovers. Okay, the team that wins the turnover fight will win this game, period.
We've been won all year in turnovers. So, again, you would think history, and that would, if we pressure him a little bit, and there's some inconsistencies with no coach.
Turnovers.
Yeah, there's a very good chance.
So, yeah, that's the name of the game. All right, well, that pretty much wraps us up. We're like way over our self-imposed hour time limit. And we were going to get into the NBA, which the NBA is off to a stumbling and stammering start.
It's here, though.
The Heat are 4-4, but they're always, like I said, the first month is always a feel-it-out month ever since the Spoelstra regime started.
Yeah.
Spoelstra just likes to mix and match and find the right combinations.
He knows he's got time. It's a long season, and they're not going to put pressure on the first month of the season. They're going to figure things out.
No need to. And
I value Spoelstra. Yeah.
Right.
He says it's green, it's green. He says it's blue, it's blue. I'm on board with whatever they're doing.
So, and pitchers and catchers report in how long?
Wait, I got to pull it up.
He's got that.
I got the clock.
I got that thing.
Oh, a minute. It's going to take a
is
minute. Keep talking.
Oh, okay.
I got a minute.
I'll vamp. I'll stretch.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll tell everybody that thank you for watching this week. It's episode 61. We here at the Gonzo Radio Network are getting our doo-doo back in proper order. The Gonzo Radio show will be back, I believe, next Monday night. I am trying to get my guests and everything together. There's going to be some new segments. There's going to be a little bit of a new format. And also you will see the return of the Blame Girl show coming to the network. We're going to run a little leaner and meaner because I don't want to be the producer for 5 shows. As it is, I'm going to be the producer for 3 shows. So right now we're going to just stick with these 3 shows, and then we'll move on from there.
36 days.
What?
11 hours, 42 minutes, 3 seconds, 2 seconds,
good.
1
and
second.
That's when your pitchers and catchers show up.
Yes.
It's either that or it's on Pornhub or Major League Baseball Network. MLB Network, Pornhub?
MLB Network.
MLB Network and Pornhub.
Yes.
No? Streaming live? Well, but thanks very, very much for tuning in to episode 61. Good luck today if your team is in the playoffs. Have fun. Enjoy the time. And I don't know. That's pretty much. You want to say goodbye to the nice people? Any parting shots?
Goodbye, nice people. Enjoy football today.
And you still hate Aaron Rodgers?
Brady more.
Brady, okay.
Tom and Aaron are close.
So Tampa Bay, Green Bay would be like an absolute abhorrent NFC Championship game for you.
Not unless there was a plane crash.
Oh,
yeah.
Savage.
Small plane, like a Cessna.
All right.
Just as they're both at the end of the game, as they're both meeting on the field to shake hands and feel and touch each other in an inappropriate way, that's when the plane comes in. Just takes out those 2.
All right, you animal.
They got insurance, clearly. At least Aaron does, so he's not worried about it.
Well, on behalf of myself and the Maz, Matt, tell everybody, say goodbye to the nice people.
See you later.
See you next week here on the Gonzo Radio Network. We'll see you next week for episode 62 for the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk as soon as I get the outro queued up, and we'll get out of here. See ya.